My name is Rachel Carter. I turned 34 last Tuesday, though you wouldn't know it by how the day unfolded. At least not from my husband, David. We've been married for 9 years, and like many couples, we've had our highs and lows. But forgetting my birthday. That one stung in a way I wasn't ready for. I woke up early that morning, excited like a kid. I had this small, silly hope that David had something planned. Maybe breakfast in bed, a card on my nightstand, or just a whisper of happy birthday before his daily routine took over. But nothing came. He kissed my forehead absently, mumbled something about running late, and rushed out the door with his tie in one hand and coffee in the other. I stood there by the kitchen sink, the morning sunlight pouring through the window, trying to convince myself that maybe he had a surprise waiting later. But the hours crawled by. I worked from home that day, so I had plenty of time to overthink. My phone buzzed with a few happy birthday texts from my sister, an old college roommate, and even a reminder email from a spa I visited once. But nothing from David. No flowers, no cake, no note tucked in my purse. By 6 p.m., I finally let the tears come. Not because I needed a fancy gift or a grand gesture, but because I felt invisible. Just as I was wiping my eyes, there was a knock on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked out the window and saw our neighbor Mark. Mark had moved in 6 months ago. A single dad in his late 30s, charming but reserved, with a golden retriever named Duke and a teenage daughter, Lily. We chatted a few times. Quick hellos and occasional small talk over the fence. I opened the door, sniffling slightly. "Hey, Rachel," Mark said, holding a small white box tied with a blue ribbon. "I hope I'm not interrupting." I forced a smile. "Not at all. What's up?" He glanced at the box, then back at me with a sheepish grin. "Lily saw your birthday on the neighborhood Facebook group. We baked cupcakes this morning. Thought you might want one." My heart twisted at the gesture. "You remembered." "Well, technically Lily did," he said, chuckling. "But I didn't forget. Happy birthday." I stood there in shock. "That's incredibly sweet." He handed me the box, and I could already smell the vanilla frosting. Inside were 4 perfectly decorated cupcakes, with colorful sprinkles and a little handwritten card. "You didn't have to do this. Sometimes the smallest things matter most," Mark said. "Anyway, enjoy. We're around if you feel like joining us later for a slice of real cake." I thanked him and closed the door, the box warm in my hands. I walked back to the kitchen and stared at it for a long moment. It wasn't about the cupcakes. It was the fact that someone saw me. Later that night, David finally came home. It was nearly 10 p.m. He looked exhausted. I waited, still hopeful. Maybe he had flowers hidden behind his back. Maybe he was about to say something. But all he said was, "What's for dinner?" Froze. "Do you know what today is?" He blinked, confused. "Tuesday." "My birthday," I said flatly. The silence was heavy. His face shifted from confusion to realization and then to guilt. "Oh, Rach, I'm so sorry. Work's been crazy. I completely forgot." I nodded slowly, not wanting to cry again. "It's okay." But it wasn't. He tried to make up for it the next day. Bought flowers from the grocery store. Ordered takeout from my favorite place. Even offered to book a weekend getaway. But none of it felt genuine. None of it erased how I felt the night before, like a ghost in my own home. Over the next few days, I found myself thinking more and more about Mark. Not in a romantic way at first. Just the way he noticed things. The way he and Lily remembered. The way he knocked on my door when I needed it most. We started talking more. He'd wave when I was watering the plants. Sometimes he and Lily would drop off cookies or invite me for coffee. It wasn't flirtatious. It was human. One afternoon, I noticed Mark struggling to carry grocery bags and wrangle Duke at the same time. I jogged over to help. "You need more hands," I joked, grabbing a bag. He laughed. "You're a lifesaver." We brought the groceries in together, and Lily was there, sitting at the kitchen island doing homework. She beamed when she saw me. "Rachel." I got an A on my science project. That's amazing, I said, genuinely happy for her. Mark handed me a glass of lemonade and we chatted for a bit. It was nothing special, but it made me feel present, like I mattered. One evening a few weeks later, David was out of town for a business trip. I was walking Duke, who had somehow become my part-time walking buddy, when Mark stepped out. "Long day?" he asked. "Yeah. But this helps," I said, patting Duke's head. He smiled. "Want to join us for dinner? Lily's making pasta." I hesitated. I wouldn't want to intrude. You wouldn't be. You'd be saving me from her experimental sauce. I laughed and followed him in. Dinner was simple. Spaghetti, salad, and laughter. Lily told me about her school play. Mark shared embarrassing stories about Duke knocking over a flower vendor. For the first time in weeks, I felt light again. After Lily went to bed, Mark and I sat on the porch with tea. The sky was velvet with stars, and the night was quiet except for the distant hum of cars. "I needed this," I said softly. "I could tell," he replied. "You've been carrying a lot." I looked at him. It's hard to explain. David and we're just two people living in the same space now. I don't think he sees me anymore. Mark didn't try to fix it. He didn't tell me what to do. He just listened. That night when I returned home, I felt like something inside me had shifted. Not in a scandalous way, but in a way that reminded me that I deserved to be seen, heard, and remembered. David came back the next day. I told him how I felt, not just about the birthday but about the distance between us. He listened. For once, he didn't argue. He nodded. "I've been selfish," he admitted. "I don't want to lose you. I don't want to feel alone anymore," I whispered. We agreed to try counseling, to really talk, to slow down and find each other again. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. As for Mark, we remained friends. There was never anything more. But his kindness changed me. He reminded me that sometimes the person who remembers your birthday isn't the one you married, but they might just help you remember yourself. And that I will never forget.